1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Almost a weekend and you don't know what to do. Or you just need something fun to listen to.
Southside Pod!
Yes, we're on the air.
Pod.
And the gang's all here, all things on the South Side. We're listening to the Southside Pod. Looking for the best Southside breweries. Or you might just need an awesome place to eat.
Southside Pod!
Mount Greenwood, Evergreen,
Southside Pod.
Blue Island, Beverly, Payless, and Allsup too. You're tuned into the Southside Pod.
Southside Pod!
Oakland, Midlothian,
Southside Pod.
Oak Forest, Chicago Ridge, Flossmoor, and Bridgeview. You're listening to Southside Pod.
This show is packed. I don't know how we're getting it into 30 minutes of good in a world of dumb that is Southside Pod. My name is Chris, that's Mike, that's Bill. Ahead on this program, Mike Pankow, Windy City Slam, big wrestling showcase coming this weekend in Marionette Park. A recent guest back in January that had us to his pop-up restaurant now has a brick and mortar permanent location in Bridgeport. Bill is bringing us the first ever Battle of the South Side. Mike worked with Bill and we finally have our Ode to Hometown. Plus everything you could possibly do on the South Side this weekend and beyond. It is all brought to you by our proud sponsors, Family Waterproofing Solutions, named one of the Southland's best 2 years in a row. Bowing walls, window wells, foundation crack repairs, sump pumps. They just want to keep the water out of your basement and protect your foundation. Now they have express service. You know what you want. You see the cost right on the website. It's right there, seriously. Order and schedule it on the site immediately for quick service, or you can also give them a call anytime, 24/7 at 708-330-4466. Your basement's best defense is at familydry.com. All right, let's get into it. Battle of the South Side. Bill, you came up with this. You got to explain it. It sounds like this could be something everybody listening can participate in.
Well, I was thinking, we're all about the South Side suburbs and South Side neighborhoods, and we're like kind of in the midst of March Madness. We're kind of like halfway, not even halfway. I don't know what we are. There's games have been played, but I thought, why don't we?
Teams have lost.
Why don't we
Teams
do like a
have won.
bracket for like the South Side neighborhoods and suburbs? It's
Wait,
gonna,
Oh my God,
Like
if you ranked
town?
Hometown as
It's
a 16 seed,
it's going
the
to make
mayor of
people
Hometown
upset.
is going to come back.
I think this is going to make people upset. So I don't know what we can do. I think I came up with the initial rankings.
Are
I
there
think if we could do
64?
like some kind of poll. No, I got an 18.
18,
18,
so there's
so
a
there's a
play-in
play-in
game?
You got 2 play-ins in each bracket.
Okay,
I have a
so-
South Side bracket and
you
a
got a-
far South Side bracket.
You got a bracket already.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
you've got regions?
Yeah,
dude?
I made the brackets. I figured if we could make, I tell you what the games are, and maybe we could do like a poll, or like you can call the number,
I'm going to put it out there.
and we'll
Let's
get
do it.
the listeners to vote, and then every week we'll say who it is, and at the end we'll crown the.
We want to hurry this up, so it's got to
Okay.
move quick because we've already seen the NCAA kick off.
Right,
Yeah.
We're a little behind, but I'll do it.
So if you disagree with me on any of these, please let me know. But in the
By the way, again, I want to warn you, if you ranked Hometown too low, the mayor of Hometown is coming back. He was standing at my door. Like first,
He's
like
right
did
in
I
the
even
middle.
explain
He's
this
right
to you?
in the middle.
Hold on, before you even get to this, did I explain this
It's a
to you?
mid-major,
A couple
right?
of weeks ago, I get a message through SouthsidePod.com where the guy is like, "Why don't you talk about Hometown?" And he just signs it Frank. That's all he says.
Right.
Frank. And I write back, I'm like, "Frank, I'm really sorry about Hometown. Thanks for listening. What's good in Hometown?" And the response is like a 3-page email from the mayor of Hometown, and then he was down here at the bar. You can hear it
Big
on the
Frank.
podcast, it's on the feed.
is
It's
he a
on
big
demand.
guy?
He's a
We
big
call
guy.
him Big Frank.
I would call him Big Frank.
Okay.
All right,
So
well,
Big
let's
Frank
call him
walks
Big
in,
Frank from now
brings
on.
me food, brings me beer, and he's like, "You better respect Hometown." So if you
He was
made
much
them a
nicer
play-in,
than that,
we're
though.
in trouble. If you left them out of the bracket, we can't even do it. They better be in the bracket.
Number 1 seed. We're gonna go with the South Side bracket first.
Southside bracket. Here we go.
Number 1 seed, Evergreen Park.
EP?
Why?
We're here. We have a podcast.
The
devoted to
podcast
them.
is in Evergreen
Yeah.
Park?
Right.
Yeah.
They're going to get beat. They don't deserve that
They're
seed.
playing number 8 seed, which is a play-in game between Allsup and Midlothian.
Oh, they're going
boy.
to win that.
Yeah, so
they're going to beat
we're gonna-
Elsa.
we're gonna see. We're gonna see who wins that one, okay?
You know, wait, hold on a second. Between that playing game, prediction, Mike.
Alsip and Midlothian?
Elsa because of the pool and the Jewel parking
I mean,
lot,
it
right?
has to be
I think
Alsip,
so,
right?
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
anything else.
And then it's Jewel parking lot, pool versus civilization in the next round versus Evergreen Park.
So
okay,
make
here
your
we
votes
go.
there. However we're gonna vote. Number 2 seed Mount Greenwood versus the number 7 Palos Heights.
Ooh. You split up the Palaces?
Yeah, I that's the only Palos I put in there. Because it's the only.
There's no Palos Park.
No, they didn't even make it.
There's
They're
no
like the NIT.
Palos Hills.
No West Palos?
No.
North
It's
Palos?
just Palos Heights.
Next.
So, I'm sorry,
Okay,
it's
go
Palos Heights and who?
Palos. We can
Mount-
put all the
Mount
Paloses
Greenwood.
in there if you want.
No.
Mount Greenwood
Mount
number 2.
Greenwood's the number 2
Palos
seed.
Heights.
Wow, that's a
7.
big matchup.
That's a
big-
tough
That's
one.
a big one.
It's a tough one.
That's a big money matchup. There's a
It
lot
might
of
be
money
an
on that
upset. It
game.
might be a 7 over a 2. You never know.
Big money matchup right
Number
there.
3, Oak Lawn versus number 6, Hometown. That's going to be a real.
You gave Hometown a 6. I like that.
Yeah.
I
Oak
like
Lawn,
that.
Hometown. So we're going to see on
I don't
that.
know if Hometown's going to turn out for it.
I'm not sure.
But here's what I'm going to tell you.
out.
Oak
I
Lawn's a
think,
big dog, you know?
here's the thing. If we do this as a vote on social media,
Big Frank, get your people
I
together.
think Big Frank brings out Hometown. They win number 6.
Yes.
I think they upset Oak Lawn. And they hate Oak Lawn. You
we
know
have
that,
another
right?
good matchup
You
to
know
end
they
it.
got to hate Oak Lawn.
Probably.
They got to hate them.
Yeah. 'cause
Fantastic
Oak Lawn
matchup
looks
to
down
end
with
the South Side bracket. Number 4, Blue Island versus number 5, Beverly.
Ooh, that's
right?
a tough one, too.
That's real tough.
Wow.
So that's
Blue
gonna be a good
Island
game.
versus Beverly.
So that's going to go to the end. And then on the other side, we have the far South
far
Side
South
bracket.
side.
Far South Side.
The number 1 seed, Lamont,
Lamont.
Lamont.
versus
Yeah, they're
the
like
play-in games
heavy
of
hitter.
Lansing and Homewood. Kind of just to, I don't know, in my head, I don't know, who's going to win that one.
I think-
that's a game you can skip probably and be like,
Yeah.
who won that Lansing
Lamont's
Homewood
It's
game?
probably like the
Lamont's
11-15 game.
Lamont's
Right,
winning the play-in game if they just
You
show
could
up.
put all the players from
Right.
Lansing and Homewood on the court
Yeah, that's
with
a,
Lamont's team.
That's a
and
tough man.
Lamont
That'd
probably
be a
wins.
tough upset.
The
there.
only
Yeah.
way Lamont loses is if they don't participate
Yeah.
in the poll.
Hey, right.
Yeah.
Lamont wins otherwise.
Right, exactly.
Lamont, you better come through. It's going to be embarrassing if you lose that
Then
one.
you have a number 2 seed, Tinley Park versus a 7 Mokina.
Ooh,
Far
that's
South Side bracket.
interesting.
Right
because
next
there's a lot of people who live in Mokina who come into Tinley
Mm-hmm.
and then retreat into Mokina to their neighborhood spots.
Correct.
That's an interesting
cross
one.
80,
There might be
then
some
they
bad
cross it
blood
right
there.
back.
There might be some bad blood between those
Then we got a 3 Flossmoor versus a 6 Frankfurt.
Ooh.
The battle of the Fs.
Yeah, the battle of the F's right there.
And then to round it off, a number 4 and 5 seed, Orland Park versus Joliet.
I can't stop. Oh my God. Joliet.
So, Joliet's like a sleeper. He just kind of walked in there like, oh, hey, we want to be part of this.
Joliet just walked
Usually
in.
they're like their own city, right? They have their own suburbs.
Come on, Joliet's not even part of the South
They
Side.
just walked in. I don't know how it happened, Chris. It just happened. And they're going after
They
Orland.
changed. They changed conferences.
They're the
so-
Cinderella story
Hold on
this
a
year.
second. Hold on a second. What suburbs did you leave out? Because I feel like you left a few.
Some didn't make it. I'm
You
sorry.
Not everybody
A
qualifies
lot
for
of
the
them didn't
tournament
make
in the
it.
initial year.
Joliet gets in.
Joliet, I don't know how. I did make these, but I mean,
Joliet
we
gets
lost.
in. What happened to Crestwood? You left Crestwood out?
I mean, that's
Little
where I was.
Marionette
That's where I
Park
grew up
didn't
too.
make it.
Yeah, Marionette Park didn't make it. Crestwood.
Wow. Joliet? They're not even listening, audience.
I know.
Okay.
I don't know how it happened, Chris.
You don't know how it happened.
It just happened.
Your hand just drew in
That's
Joliet.
What I was
Yeah,
just
it's
looking
amazing.
at. I
All
was
right.
looking at maps 4 minutes ago and made this. That's what
Okay,
happened.
so before we move on
The
from
quality
this,
prep time we like
Mike-
to do here.
you hear all these suburbs.
I do.
I would assume that the one that wins the one bracket plays the other bracket.
Correct,
right?
correct.
Okay. So who's your final two in the championship from each side?
I think I think Lamont's probably going to come out of that far south bracket,
Lamont's a strong one there.
and I'm going to go with the number 2 seed Mount Greenwood on the south side
Greenwood.
bracket. I think scrappy Mount Greenwood
All right.
is going to put up a heck of a fight.
All right. I got Blue Island and Beverly. Whichever one wins faces Lamont. That's what I think happens.
Wait, Blue Island versus Beverly.
Don't
Who's
they
gonna
play each other?
Yeah.
Yes. Who's
He's
going to
saying
win? Oh, whichever
whoever-
one.
I don't know.
Oh,
who's
wow.
gonna win.
Wow. Okay.
I think that right there is the game.
I understand.
in the
Okay.
early round, and they got to face Lamont.
Interesting.
And I just feel like because Lamont has become, and we've been to so many places in Lamont, they are such a group, and they got a chip on their shoulder. They're ticked off. They're not considered to be part of the South Side. They feel that. They're like, wait a minute. You could drive here from like 10 minutes away from Palos. Just get on College Drive and go west 10 minutes, and you're in Lamont. And nobody goes there. Like, they feel that. So I think Lamont rides it to the championship, but then I would say this: Blue Island or Beverly might beat them. That's the thing.
So Chris isn't making a pick, is what he's saying.
No, what I'm saying,
Right,
whoever
right.
wins, I'm saying whoever wins Blue Island versus Beverly wins the whole thing.
Oh, wow. You're
That's
going
what I'm
far.
saying.
This is how Chris is getting to pick 3 teams.
Right,
No,
yeah.
man, I'm just saying
He
whoever
picked
wins.
3.
I'm going to make a commitment here, and I'm going
All right.
straight up Blue Island is taking that first bracket against Tinley. But my main sleeper of all of this, I think Alsip is going to win the playoff game
Oh, yeah.
and beat Evergreen Park.
Yes.
Whoa.
I think that's
it's possible.
I think it could happen.
It's an angry group over
It's
there.
more
Nelson.
of it would more be like voting for, it would be like the Carrie situation.
they have
like
internet
voting for
there?
the ugly girl for prom queen?
Right.
I think people will round up together to do this.
Do they have internet there?
I don't know. I think they still got
I think the library does.
CompuServe. I think they still got down there. Maybe Prodigy. I'm not sure.
I have a confession to make. It's true, and I'm guessing you have done the same thing. Put more time into thinking about what's for dinner than preparing for your retirement. But if you think your retirement needs deserve more attention, I agree with you, and I want to help you out. I've got a local, experienced, down-to-earth guy who's a friend of this show. He's got a get-to-know-you approach and do the right thing values, and he's been around for over 20 years right here on the South Side. His name is Tom Walsh. He's located on the corner of 111th and Kedzie, and he's waiting for your call. In times of financial uncertainty, how can you stay on track? Call someone who's invested in your success. Reach out to Tom now, 773-779-0023, or pop in at the office right on 111th and Kedzie. Tell him we sent you. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC. Little while back here on Southside Pod, we went and checked out a pop-up restaurant out in Bridgeport, and we were like, okay, we're gonna check this out. I was told by the chef over there that everything was vegan, and I wasn't going to be able to really tell. And I was like, that's madness. That's insane. There's no way. There's a video that's out. Herbivore put it out on their account after I tried their Big Macs, and it was one of the greatest burgers I've ever had, and nothing in it was meat. Max Musto is on the line with me right now. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing, Chris. How you doing? Thanks for having me on the show again.
Hey, listen, I just wanted to bring you on because congratulations, you have a regular restaurant now. You just opened. Tell everybody about it. What happened?
Yeah, we finally got a brick and mortar. So, we started pre-pandemic. We were working in a ghost kitchen, for the last 3.5 years, kind of doing pop-ups. Then we started getting residencies, had one at Virgin Hotels, and then we had one down here in January at Kimsky in Bridgeport. There was a location that was 2 doors down from Kimsky. That place ended up going out of business, and we just got right place, right time, ended up taking over this location, worked really hard in the month of February and the beginning of March, and we got open. So we opened up this past Saturday, and we're right here in Bridgeport on 31st and Morgan.
That's insane, man. Brand new restaurant in that area. That's a fun little neighborhood on the south side.
It really is.
Has some really good food options, and you're going to stand out with what you do because, like I said, I went in there. I ate. I was like, there's absolutely no way I'm going to enjoy this. And what you do, you're like a magician. You're like a wizard. You're like a witch. Like I can't tell. And it's something that I've said I've got to start adding a little bit more of that into my diet. Although I think all I'm going to do is have my vegan at your spot. So I'm glad that you're there permanently.
Oh, I would love that, man. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great way to start incorporating more plant-based lifestyle into your diet. And we do it through familiar items. You do it through like a vegan Big Mac or, an Italian beef or some of these classics. And you're not missing any of the flavor and the textures there, and you don't get any of that bad animal fat that's clogging your heart.
Hold on a second. You do an Italian beef and it's vegan?
Oh, yeah. I make the Italian beef in-house. Then sometimes, if you're lucky, you catch me on a good day, I'll get you a combo. Beyond makes a really great hot Italian sausage.
Oh.
And I make a really nice au jus. I make house giardiniera. I make the sweet peppers. And you got to get Toronto. It's the best bread. And we use Toronto. It's a great sandwich. Oh, yeah.
And one of these days, I'm going to have to try your pizza puff or whatever you have to call it. I don't know if you can call it that, but I'm calling it that.
That's a name we don't call. But yeah, it's incredible. We make that all in-house too, right?
Yeah.
So I'm making homemade San Marzano marinara. I'm getting the San Marzano straight from Italy. We're doing Italian sausage that we make in-house. It's nice and crumbly, and we're using a lot of fennel seed in there, right? Got to have fennel in that sausage. And then I'm making mozzarella that we're making in-house. all made in house, and it's incredible. I mean, this cheese doesn't stick to your teeth. It melts, it browns. You know, I told you I'm Italian just like you. Got to have good mozzarella. You got to have a good sauce. All these things are important, and this is really another thing that really separates us from everyone else.
All right. Well, listen, you can hear the review on a previous episode of Southside Pod, so check that out. Go back and look anywhere podcasts can be found, and always at southsidepod.com. I can't wait to get down there again. Check out Herbivore. Give me the location one more time, Chef.
All right. We're 964 West 31st Street in Bridgeport.
All right, get there. Check it out. Thank you so much for coming back and telling us all about it. Congrats on the new restaurant.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. And Chris, whenever you want to come back down for one of those pizza things, let me know. I'd love to get a video of you eating that.
That's a plan. I'm in.
There's a quaint little suburb on the south side. If you go there, you'll realize they got nothing to hide. They got a Pizza Plus, a La Playa, it's very good to eat, and a nice little car wash on 87th that can't be beat. I'm talking about hometown.
Hometown.
Hometown. Hometown.
Hometown.
Hometown. Some people call it their little slice of heaven. Well, it was more like hell in 1967 because that's when it destroyed 87 homes. But to this day in hometown, you'll never feel alone because we're talking about hometown. Hometown.
Hometown.
Hometown.
Hometown. Hometown.
Oh, hometown. Hometown.
Hometown.
Hometown.
That's it? That's all we're giving them?
I had a few more verses, but I wanted to wrap it up since we were doing pretty good, but we can start it again if you'd like.
I just feel like they were really upset last time.
It's a small town,
well,
small
we
song.
didn't do, but they're very upset that we don't
Okay.
cover them enough. So
We
let's
can go
make,
on more
make
again.
the song longer.
We're going, yeah.
All right, just, do another verse.
Okay.
Let's just try it out.
Yeah.
All right. I just don't want them mad.
Yeah. When you live in hometown, you can always hear your neighbors having sex because right through the other side of the wall is another house because it's a duplex. Hometown.
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 I told you I shouldn't have done
Yeah,
another.
you
I
should have
shouldn't
done
have
that
done
one.
another.
You went overboard on that
I
one.
told you.
Man, what else rhymes with duplex?
Have you been injured at work? Then you need someone who will fight for the care and compensation you deserve. The insurance companies will look out for themselves and their bottom lines, not you. I'm Matthew Coleman, partner and head of the work injury department at the law offices of Parenti and Norm. My team and I have the experience, dedication, and proven results it takes to fight for your rights. Call or text me today at 312-641-5926 or visit us on the web at pninjurylaw.com.
Are your bowel movements still green?
Oh, yeah. They are. And they hurt. I don't know what to tell you. It hurts. It's rough. And then, like, the 17th, I had my niece dancing in every bar on
She
the south
does
side.
like the Irish dancing with the hair
Yeah.
and all that stuff?
No,
it
no,
is
no.
their
The
busy
tappity
season.
taps.
Well, let's talk about this real quick because I went to Gaelic Park during that week.
Yeah.
And it was funny because my niece, her group gets up there and they're wearing these very modest black dresses, little gold trim.
Yeah.
The dress is down to their knees.
Yeah.
They're wearing black leg, like, stockings.
Sure.
And they're doing their Irish dance.
Right.
Don't move your arm.
3 dance troupes later, the girls are wearing something that I've only seen in strip clubs in Vegas.
Hot for Teacher starts playing.
I mean, it's crazy.
How old are they?
You've got a 9-year-old girl. No, I'm not kidding. You've got a 9-year-old girl in full lipstick, makeup, and
Some
an
straight
updo.
up John Bonet stuff.
Right.
That
They
ain't
look
right.
just like that.
That ain't right.
And they're wearing a skirt that's at their hips.
Not okay.
And my 7-year-old is standing next to me, my 7-year-old. And
Like
he
a Tex Avery cartoon with his eyes popping out of his head.
And he looks at me and he goes, Dad, And I go, what? He goes, if I walk up to that girl in that pink, shiny dress and I ask her, do you think she'll kiss me? The 7-year-old.
Take a shot.
That was his first move ever.
You
It wasn't the high school
You
boy.
miss
looked at him and I was
100%
like-
of the shots you don't take, right?
Right. And I was like, go for it, big guy. And his brother's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I'm like, you feel dirty because you're 15 and you know this is wrong.
Right.
Like, that's what, like, I mean, like, right away, like, he got it.
Yeah.
He was like, these are like 9 and 10-year-old girls dressed up like they're 40 for crying out loud. Like, it's ridiculous.
40.
I don't get it. I don't get it, man.
So what's the difference? Was it different dance troops? Was it where they were from?
Different troops.
Okay.
And that one's supposed
So
to be
where
the
was
one.
the horde troop from?
They were the more expensive one.
Polecats.
Oh, cats, Irish
They might have
dancers.
been. They were more expensive. They were the more expensive group. Like, my sister was telling me, like, oh yeah, they spend like 3 times as much on their outfits and they go and do these national competitions. And I'm like, when in 1520 in Ireland were there girls dancing in hot pink
right.
sequence dresses that were up above their hips?
All right,
If
all
you
you
had a-
lads and lassies, 2-for-1 dances is next.
If you had a dress that was over your ankles, they stoned you to death back then.
Yeah, right.
How is that traditional?
Ah, the good old days.
On the phone line with me right now, a good friend, a guy who's got a podcast on the Broadcast Basement On Demand Radio Network called Windy City Slam. He's been down here to this bar so many times, but he joins me on the phone because we got an event coming to 115 Bourbon Street, Marionette Park, where people will be throwing themselves around in the wrestling ring. He covers everything wrestling on the South Side. Mike Pankow. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing super, Chris. How you doing?
Man, I'm killing it. I'm happy. I see spring on the horizon. We're making up songs about hometown here. We got mayoral races that we're covering. We're having a tournament of all the suburbs on Southside Pod. And from what I understand, you've got wrestling coming nearby that people may want to check out. Like, you go to these shows and you go to a lot of the forums and the festivals, and there's a really big Southside wrestling scene, and that's why Windy City Slam exists, and you guys should check that out at windycityslam.com and subscribe to Mike's podcast. But like, somebody who hasn't seen it yet, what can they expect from, say, this show that's at Bourbon Street?
It's AAW Pros Epic, their 19th anniversary event. It's going to be really exciting. These are some of the best independent wrestlers in the world. They're one of the biggest and most premier companies in the Midwest in terms of independent wrestling. You've got guys from AEW, you've got guys from Impact coming in to work this show as well. And your main event is going to be a Chicago icon, Robert Ego Anthony, a former freelance wrestling champion and former AAW Pro champion. He's going to be taking on Jake Something for the AAW Championship in his first match back in AAW in 15 years. So this is going to be really exciting off the top in the main event.
I've heard Robert Ego Anthony's name before, so many times with you. And I think he's, in my mind, he's the bigger draw locally. Jake Something, every time I've ever heard you say that name, I giggle because it's like the guy was like, what's your wrestling name today? And he's like, I don't know, my name's Jake something, whatever. I mean, I think it's hysterical, but he's risen up the ranks, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been in Impact Wrestling a little bit. I believe he's also did a little bit of AEW Dark as well. He's a really talented guy, big, thick guy, very mobile and strong. So he's kind of got a good arsenal to throw at Robert Ego Anthony as well. So this should be really good.
So these guys get together, they wrestle. I've seen the crowds before. I've been to a few of these events. I know the one that I go to a lot when I go see local wrestling and the things that are around on the South Side. I know out in Crestwood, after the ball games at the minor league ballpark, Ozinga Field, they'll do a wrestling night and you'll get somebody who'll come in. And it's always fun. Like, to me, I've been to WWE events. And yeah, the spectacle and the large crowd and the chants, and it's bigger, but it always feels more raucous to me with that smaller crowd at something like this event because you're right up in the action, aren't you?
Yes, and then you add the element of beer, and you're at a bar. So, yeah, it's going to be really raucous, really crazy. Independent wrestling in Chicago is a really big hit with a lot of people.
That's cool. Anybody else going to be at this thing at Bourbon Street to look for? Anybody up and coming? Anybody that you look at and say, if you like watching pro wrestling, you want to watch it live, make sure you see this match.
It was an I Quit tag team match between Conan Lycan and Solomon Tupu of Smooth Operations. Now, these guys are Black and Brave graduates. They're actually trained by Seth Rollins, and they're really, really good. They're very early in their career, but they've already kind of made a nice impact. And they're taking on this huge, monstrous team of Russ Jones and Shaft. That's going to be a fun tag match. And plus, we're going to have a lumberjack match with women in the match. Former AAW Women's Champion Christy James takes on, coming out of Milwaukee, Sierra. That should be really an awesome match as well.
That's cool. WrestleMania's coming up. Like, I become more of a casual wrestling fan. I know that this upsets you. I know that you're hearing me say that right now, and you just want to reach out through the phone and strangle me. I get into it. I go away from it. I get into it. I'm kind of away from it right now. I did watch the Royal Rumble, though. It's something that even when I'm not paying attention regularly, I watch it. I think it's just a great pay-per-view, and I got Peacock, so I get it for free. But WrestleMania is coming up, and that's another one that even if I'm not paying attention to what's going on in the world of wrestling, I try not to miss it. So for somebody that hasn't watched a lot, what is going on right now that I should be looking for when WrestleMania hits?
You have Roman Reigns as your WWE Universal Champion. He's been the champion for nearly 1,000 days. His reign is in serious jeopardy, though, against the long-time coming back Cody Rhodes, who won that Royal Rumble. Cody Rhodes bet on himself. He left WWE a number of years ago. He did some time in Impact Wrestling. He did some time in Japan. He helped found AEW, for God's sake. And now he's back in WWE. He's kind of like a forgotten son, but now he's back in the good graces of WWE, and this could be his time to dethrone Roman Reigns, who has dominated the WWE with he and his bloodline, with Paul Heyman, with the Usos, and a little bit with Sami Zayn, too, before he got kicked out of the group. And this is going to be a phenomenal event, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, in my opinion. But that's the match to watch. If you haven't followed WWE for a while, this is the one that's going to culminate in a big moment at WrestleMania.
Yeah, and if you're a Southsider and you don't mind going into Indiana, I just want to kind of to point out this news story that I just read, and I'd love your take on it, Mike. The WWE is trying to get the Gaming Commission in Indiana to allow people to bet on WWE events. And that seems silly to me because aren't these things like, I know it's, you never say it's not real, right? Like that's wrong. They're beating the hell out of each other. They get injuries. They're athletes. They train. It wears on the body. But when they walk in there, they know how it's going to end. So how can you have an event that would like fall under the guise of it's fixed and then have people bet money on it? Like I expect them to get turned down by the state of Indiana. But if Indiana goes rogue and people can run across the border and bet, would you do that?
Maybe. I think I could probably win some money.
Now, what would you be betting on though? You'd be betting on the idea of watching wrestling. This is what I think they're going to do in the storyline, because you're more betting on the storyline and what's been happening than whether or not you think that big giant guy can get beat up by the high flyer that's on the other side.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this works out. I mean, I can't see them allowing a wrestler to bet on his own matches because, obviously he's going to know who's going to win and who's going to lose, right?
Yeah, well, but they use fake names. So his account could be, let's be honest here. They all use fake names. To me, it's maybe the most absurd thing that I've heard of all week long, maybe all year to this point in 2023. But it fascinated me that it was happening right across the border. And I was like, man, this would be interesting. Right now you can run across the border into Indiana to get Yingling beer and to bet on WWE maybe? Like that would be nuts.
Are you going to go with Cody Rhodes? Who's the favorite? Who's the underdog in that Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns match? Roman's probably the slight favorite at this point, but who knows?
I mean, I would bet Cody. I'd bet Cody because I would think that that's what WWE would want to do. If anybody's going to take down a guy that's over 1,000 days as the champion, you would have a guy like Cody Rhodes in a WrestleMania moment with the comeback story and out on his own. Plus, you're taking the guy from AEW and you're making him your headliner champion. And, these wrestling companies compete with each other. Like if I was going to lay a bet, that's what I would do. Then again, I don't bet on things that may be fixed, like WWE wrestling in the NBA.
The NBA.
As we wrap this one up, it's time for your Southside Bulletin Board to look at what is going on this weekend and beyond throughout the Southside, all brought to you by Cool Clouds Vapor Shop. Quitting smoking is hard, and Cool Clouds wants to give you an alternative with a full taster bar and great CBD products located on the northeast corner of 95th and Kedzie. See all they have to offer at coolcloudsvapor.com or stop in and see them in person, 3148 West 95th Street. This weekend in Tinley Park on Friday night, the Smiley Tillman Band is playing at Hailstorm Brewing, 8060 186th Street. No ticket needed, kicks off at 6 p.m. On Saturday in Tinley, Sound Growler Brewing is bringing you Maker's Market Alien Edition, the first ever alien-themed Maker's Market. Out of this world, local crafters and artists bringing you never-before-seen alien art, space-themed jewelry, bizarre items found only at this show that is happening at noon going until 5 at 8201 183rd Street in Tinley. Get a beer, they got great tacos there, and support some small businesses. Just a few weeks away, they got a plant market there as well, with plants, plant art, plant accessories, plant huggers, things made from plants, edible plants, plant earrings, lots of plants. If you are a plant lover, mark down April the 8th at Sound Growler, noon to 5 p.m. for that market. Once again, 8201 183rd Street. One of my favorite local small businesses that I always run into at these markets, Sid Sauce. Somebody reached out through the contact form the other day at SouthsidePod.com, told me they just bought a case of it and they love it. It's the only thing they're ever going to use. It's all I use too. So many flavors, the peppers grown on the South Side, bottled here, delivered to your door. Check out the website, see all they have to offer at sidsauce.net. Also on Saturday in Evergreen Park at Yukich Field, 88th and Kedzie, March for Meg is occurring. They're giving free skin checks to stop melanoma. You can get your screening starting at 10 a.m. and then there is a walk that starts at 11. The event goes until 1 in the afternoon. Later that night, Oak Lawn is having an adult Easter egg hunt. Kicks off at 7 p.m. at Stony Creek Golf and Banquet Complex, 5850 West 103rd Street. Each adult 21 and over will receive a complimentary drink along with an empty six-pack. You fill it up with eggs, and each egg will have a ticket to redeem special prizes. They may be drink tickets, they may be vouchers of local businesses, and so much more. It'll be a fun night out at Stony Creek. Alas, Southside Pod has come to an end, but remember to subscribe on whatever podcast player you're using right now, or pick from a list of them at SouthsidePod.com. And check out the YouTube channel. I'm dumping a ton of videos on it this weekend. Bill and Mike and their studio sessions when they're making up their songs, plus the full unedited video interview at Pollyanna Social that was on the last episode of Southside Pod. Once again, on YouTube and also at SouthsidePod.com.
It's the Southside! It's the Southside! It's Southside Pod! Thanks for listening! Thanks for tuning in to the Southside Pod!
Y'all come back now, you hear?